Welcome to the second episode, numero dos, of Punch It In podcast. Here with a super special guest, not you, Jorge, my co-host.
How you doing?
Fucking Lambert.
Glad to be here. I'm Richie, Dan, and we got the BMF here, Jorge Masvidal, UFC superstar, the legend, the backyard brawler. Awesome having you aboard, my brother.
But you know me more as just
Jorge. There it is.
Fucking George.
fucking George.
That too.
Is more like it too. You know?
That's true. That's
the
true.
only guy in this planet that let me call George, but you know, it's Danny.
By the way, what are you wearing today? What's going on here? We got a lot going on
I was
here.
like, man, fucking, you know, I gotta look good for the second podcast.
I see that.
And I was like, this, and my daughter helped me pick out the outfit today. She was like, Dad, I think the tracksuits are doing really good for you. Let's stick with the tracksuits. I was like, you are my daughter.
I can't say anything about that, so we're going to go on to the show. Great weekend for the team. We went 6-1 overall. Killed it at Bellator, right? Killed it at UFC. 3-0 in Bellator, 3-1 in the UFC. Just going down the list.
Touching on that note, why is it that we don't get credit for anything we do outside of UFC? Which I get it. UFC is fucking the biggest thing ever, but when you add in how good we do outside of the UFC to the UFC, it's like it's not even a close number two in the world. I just want to say, obviously I'm biased. I've been here for quite some time, you know?
You've been here for a few years.
Fuck, bro. When we're talking about every other promotion under the sun that we fucking belts, top 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 guys in every fucking weight class, it's...
I think a lot of people don't realize how much of a team sport this is, and they just think of it as an individual sport. You know, coming from your perspective, you know, you're doing what you're doing, you're succeeding, you're making money, but how far would you get without some of the lower level guys or some of the lesser known guys, the up and comers that are helping you get ready for your fights? People are thinking, it's okay, it's team sport. That's Jorge Masvidal. There's a lot of teamwork behind this. Just because one guy goes in the cage doesn't mean there's a lot of team effort behind it. And I think a lot of the hardcore fans follow all the shows, and I think they keep score a little bit.
And I think if you listen to the guys at the announcers on Bellator, it was Josh Thompson and
Big John
and Big John McCarthy talking. They gave a lot of love to American Top Team. Those guys have been around a long time. They see the success we've had.
Well, the hardcores, I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking about Josh and
Big John.
Big John, freaking
Absolutely.
Mr. Referee himself.
Oh, geez.
Of course, they freaking, those guys know.
Yeah.
But I think, like, the general public guy, they just see what we do in the UFC. It's like, no, people need to know we're fucking, it's a different ballgame over here.
I agree. You get no argument from me.
I just think a lot of the general public doesn't really know the difference between one team and another. But
Right.
keep making noise, they will.
4-time Team of the Year, and hopefully we're on track to get another one.
And that they, you know, until we won the Team of the Year, remember, it was like, oh, we're getting it this year for sure.
Yes.
And then weird shit would happen. Political shit would happen. Oh, we didn't get it this year. That's weird. All right.
Just keep winning.
Yeah.
Everything else takes care of itself.
Yeah, everything
Just
falls
keep
into place.
winning.
So just to recap the Bellator card, so Cody went 4-0. He looked super sharp. Another up-and-comer. Saeed, he gets a first-round knockout. I don't know what the fuck King Mo did or showed him, but it worked. So keep
Amen.
going with Saeed. He's a long-time fighter here.
Long-time fighter here.
And,
I'm so glad to see that guy doing
Super humble dude, too. And, of course, Johnny Emblem, man, he looked incredibly dominant. He's, 9-0 now in
Opened up
Bellator?
his own airlines as well.
Yes, he went
Wow.
German Suplex City on
German
that.
Suplex City.
And all three guys, homegrown, first fight
Amen to that, right?
with us.
Absolutely.
All the way to the end.
Actually, Johnny's amateur with us. He had all his
Yep.
amateur fights with us.
Yep.
Then
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually a cool point. I didn't even think about that, but a lot of people think, oh, HGT, they brought in this guy. I didn't bring in anybody, man. Cody came to us at scratch.
Amateur
Same thing with
as
Saeed.
well.
Saeed was just a grappler. Johnny was just a wrestler, came up and has done nothing but impress me every step of the way, and he's getting better. And I think Cody's eventually going to get to where Johnny is, but a few years ago, Johnny was where Cody is. So it's awesome to see those guys.
Johnny
run
just
down.
cut a corner though, from like 2 fights ago,
Yep.
where he ended up getting dropped, and he was more heavily wrestling based,
Yep.
so where he spent a lot of time working on his hands, and fuck, bro, he can crack. I
Dude,
mean,
how cool is it when you see it click in a guy that you know all along has the potential, where you think he can end up if he does everything right, but then eventually it does. And sometimes it's after the third fight, sometimes after the sixth fight, in your case, maybe after the 50th fight. But when it clicks, it's a beautiful thing, right?
fucking
So
beautiful.
you said Johnny's got better with his hands, but really what he came back to was his bread and butter, was the wrestling, and that's what dominated. And I think sometimes some of these wrestlers, guys, they fall in love with a new tool.
Yeah.
They get away from their strong point, and it doesn't work for them.
But the guys that mix it up
Yep.
and show that other side, it makes the wrestling even that much better.
Oh my God.
Or the guys that can wrestle, that use their hands. As your wrestling got better, how much better did your hands get?
Oh.
Because people are now worried about the wrestling.
Yeah. it opens up shit always, you know. And Johnny's been a training partner of mine since like his second day here, you know, because I already knew who Johnny was a little bit from wrestling and
Right.
stuff. So as soon as he got in here, I was like, oh, I'm gonna work with this guy, and I've seen him literally evolve from learning how to throw a jab to fucking knocking people out with fucking haymakers now and shit. It's fucking wild.
Crazy. Some serious studs we have in Bellator.
He hit a Masvidal special 2 fights ago.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Just to jump over to the UFC, we went 3-1. The first guy up, we had that Sergey Varsov from Kazakhstan. Dude, they got some crazy fans. Anytime I do a live or I post something, I get one guy posted like 60 Kazakhstan flags on there. It's crazy. He had a dominant ground game. Fought a really tough guy and came out with the win. It's his first training camp with us. He did great.
Don't overlook the hat either.
The hat is epic. I need the hat.
The hat is everything.
Sergey, you're hearing this. Let's bring the hat back. I need one. We need
There's
to
a
get it
spot
the
on
show.
our wall for your hat.
Absolutely, man. That thing was classic. Gamrot looked fucking incredible, man. You know, we talked about last show, Jeremy Stevens,
the guy I'm
big
big
fan,
on.
came down for your
Fucking
fight.
wow.
But Gamrot looked awesome, super dominant.
Stud.
Yeah.
And Jeremy's a beast. Jeremy
Yeah.
Stevens is a fucking
We talked about him our last show.
legit
Scary,
fighter.
scary
He
guy.
might have made it look easy, but Jeremy
Yeah.
can grapple. Jeremy could just fight, man. I've known him forever.
I know.
Wow.
Cool dude. But obviously, I'm a Gamrot fan. He's an ATT guy, and he is just I got to give him the new nickname, not the gamer. He's just a Polish fucking buzzsaw. You know, he is on point, man. That guy trains super hard, and it's great to see him come here, have some
Gifted-
success.
I'll tell you what.
cardio.
Yeah, and the
Trains hard. That's why
the
he's got
mindset
good
too.
cardio. Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, his timing is also excellent. It's just a little on the business side
Yep.
of things. You enter into your UFC contracts very often on a new guy. They'll bring him in for 4 fights. After 3 fights, they make a decision on the guy. Is this a guy that we think has a long-term future with us? If it is, let's sign a new deal now before his last fight. If it's a guy they're not really high on, sometimes they'll just let him fight out his 4th fight and then decide after that if they want to re-sign him or just let him go. You come off a fight like this. He's got 3 fights. He's got 3 performances of the nights, coming off a huge win
Which he
against.
got robbed his first fight in the UFC.
I agree, and he took it on really short notice.
Got robbed disgusting. One of the worst robbers I've seen in a while.
No, the worst robbery you ever seen was you and I Quinta. I was front row in Virginia watching that shit, and I remember sitting there with Dan, and we were sitting there watching it. And I remember you so disgusted, I think with the sport at the time, when you lost that you were like, what do I got to do?
Because I think I told Dan I wanted to retire at that moment. I was like, you know what?
You were disgusted. I remember it. I was disgusted. He was. We're like, is this
I didn't know
fucking
what to
real?
do then.
I remember getting in an argument.
Why to get it back?
I got in an argument with Joe Silva right there at the side of the cage over the fight. He's like, he just didn't get busy enough. He didn't get busy enough. George should be finishing everybody because
Right.
he knew. They all knew back then what you were capable of. He said George should be smoking guys, and he lets them stay in a
Well,
fight.
George was smoking.
He says he lets guys stay in a fight, and this happens. I said, dude, he out-threw him and outlanded him in every single round. He's like, no, he didn't. He backed off in the second and third. We went over because they keep the fight stats at the monitor, so the
Even more,
commentators can look
landed more.
every round.
Yeah.
Terrible decision. Anyway, Gamrot's timing was beautiful. He's got 1 fight left. He's probably going to sign a nice deal now, and look for him at the end of the year to come back and do some more damage.
So you're going
I
to go.
think this guy could go far for us.
I'm
And
with
I
you.
mean, like, all the way to the top.
I'm with you. He's got a high ceiling.
Freak cardio.
Danny's got 1 fight left on his contract?
Yeah.
You're going to renegotiate that?
Yeah, he'll sign a new deal before the next fight.
Perfect. Right. He's got to talk about timing, right? That's
And coming off a performance like that, he's going to get a great opponent. He's going to get a top-ranked opponent,
Yep.
and it's good. Sky's the limit for this guy.
And then the last one we had on there was Zay Kamea. Looked a little slow in the first round, came back, looked like a beast in the second round. And like you say, timing is everything. Could you imagine? Not saying it was going to happen, but here's a guy who looked really sluggish, didn't look that good, could potentially get cut from the UFC if it would have lost that fight. Turns it around in the second round, comes out, has a little epiphany, whatever happened in the corner, to make him come out with some urgency, finishes the guy off, a real tough striker, and ends up, now he gets, not only does he win the fight, but he wins a performance of the night bonus. And we're going to extend him out in the dorms another 6 months.
Good for him. And I guess
That's
we
what
just got
people are
Thiago
fighting
Moises.
for is fucking space on the dorms. Bro.
Yeah.
When I'm talking to my brothers and sisters here, they're like, man, I don't even give a fuck about these paychecks. I'm just trying to stay in the dorm. And they know Rich will fucking put them on the streets if they're losing, man.
That's not a good conversation sometimes. It sucks, but yeah.
Sometimes the necessary
You
evil.
guys, just like, you guys remember a Hard Knock training camp?
Yeah, like on HBO.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the football show.
You guys should record it as well when you get given the walking papers. Just 1 or 2.
Turn in your
just for the
playbook?
podcast. Yeah, turn in the playbook.
It's more often than not the guys that end up leaving are leaving on their own accord because they just
Yeah.
can't take it, or it's just not for them being in this environment 24/7, or it's a good thing. They're succeeding, they're getting a contract, they're making some money, and it's, hey guys, get the fuck out and leave it open for the guys who are the higher level prospects. You don't need us anymore to do that.
Like Cody came down, we put him up there, right? He was up there for almost a year, maybe a little bit more. Same thing with Dalton Rasta, right? Boom, both of those guys have had some great success in Bellator, and now they're out of there and they've got their own apartment. So it's a great thing.
Or it's a guy breaking the rules, and if you're not willing to follow our rules, I don't mind telling
That's
you
why
to
I
get
don't
out
think I got
anyway.
accepted in there. Primo fucking denounced me like 3 times. I thought it was because of my credit originally, but no. It's,
Well, the rules are basically a picture of you. It just says, don't do this.
Yeah. Gonna leave it at that.
And the last guy on the card to mention is Thiago Moises. In the
Yeah,
main event.
Thiago, just fought a guy who was better than him. Sometimes you got to tip your hat to the other guy. He's a little bit better, but I think Thiago will be there in another 2 years. Maybe it's a year. He does nothing but get better. This guy's had nothing but killers from the start of the UFC to where he's at now. His first main event.
Hey,
he's young. What is he?
He's 26. He's a kid. He just turned 26. Let me ask you a question, Georgie. Take the Masvidal at 26 against the Masvidal at 30 or 31 or 32. What do you do to that Masvidal at 26?
Fuck that guy up.
Bad, right?
Just from experience, just from knowing things, just from
And man strength.
man strength.
It's a real thing in this sport.
And man, Thiago's been with us since he was like 16, I think.
Yeah.
I remember him being the fucking easiest go, like, oh, I'm tired, I'm gonna grab a break and go with this guy, to him being one of the fucking toughest goes now, man.
I remember coming up to talk and saying, "Hey, the after school section with the kids is over there. You're come
a fucking baby.
Come talk to us when the other nut drops."
Yeah.
And it's dropped, and he's becoming a man. But that kid is going to become so much better over the next couple
That's
of years.
another guy that could win
And he
first,
stepped
I
up
think,
and
man.
fought an absolute beast.
Yeah.
And he came up short, but you know what? He's a better fighter and a more marketable fighter coming off a loss in a main event against a guy that quality than just going and fighting a lesser known guy and beating him in a prelim.
Yeah, it's cliche, right? You learn more from the loss, but I definitely think he's going to learn a tremendous amount about himself from this loss against a guy like Islam. Knows where he's got to get to, and I think he's going to get there.
Agreed.
So, just to put the bow on it, 6-1 over the weekend between these two big shows. Most people are happy to get one guy in there. We've got 7 guys fighting. We go 6-1.
With a winning record.
2 performance bonuses on the UFC. Just a tremendous week for those guys. And also shout out to all those coaches who went there and the training partners, because these coaches grind. You know what it's like with Paulino, and you're a pain in the ass, right? So coming up fight week, cutting weight, spending all the time, holding your hand. These coaches do a tremendous job. So shout out to all those coaches that went there.
Actually, if you ask Mike Brown, he would say I'm his favorite guy to be with in fight week.
Right.
I'm not asking.
I asked
Brownie
Paulino,
nothing.
but he doesn't speak any English, so he didn't understand the question.
Paulino's and my dynamics are a little different. He's like
Yes.
more of my father.
Yes.
So
That's why we get along.
In his eyes, I'm always falling short, you know?
Sometimes you
He's like,
need
you
that
only
too.
ran 3 miles today? Why? You could have ran 5, you know?
He's right.
Yeah.
He's
He is
right.
right. He is right.
All right, man. So let's get into you. We didn't bring you on here to talk about this Cuban coffee and your pastries that the lovely
You brought me
Maddie
on
brought
here
in.
to talk about the greatest team in the world, American top team.
We brought you in to talk about you. So I know a few years ago, you've been on the team a long time. You had this resurrection. I'll use one of your terms, and you turned everything around. So why don't you tell us how all this happened? What happened? What was your epiphany? Where'd that light come on, George?
Man, I thank God that the breakthrough didn't happen when I was like in jail or in a hospital, but it actually happened in the weirdest of places. I was in a reality show, and
You were on the Kardashians?
no, they didn't want to let some thugs in there like me. So I was in a reality show similar to a Ninja Warrior mixed with Survivor, held in the Dominican Republic. My manager, Abraham, at the time, I'm trying to get a fight. I just came off the Thompson loss, and we're scrambling for fights. You know, I'm like, I want to get a fight. I had some injuries, so I took like 6 months off nursing, and then I'm trying to get a fight. Nothing's coming up. The UFC's kind of like seeing where they're going to take me. And during that time, they called me up for a reality show. Abraham calls me. He's like, hey, man, I got some good news. I'm thinking, it's fucking fight news. I go, spit it out. He's like, hey, I got this reality show. You mean like Jersey Shore? He's like, no. Listen. They go, a reality, bro. I'm talking about fights and shit. You talking about reality shows? Yeah, but I'll call you back. Hang up on him. So he knows, like, I'm not feeling it too much. Some more time passes by, and as that time is passing by, the offer keeps getting a little bit more handsome, you know. So he calls me back again. Hey, no fight news yet, but I do have this reality show. Now they're offering you more money. Like, bro, I'm not doing that, bro. I'm not doing a reality show, so fucking hang up again. It's not going well in that sense. thank goodness he's persistent, and thank goodness other people kept offering more and more money. So I ended up going to this reality show. I signed up 2 days before we're supposed to take off. I'm like the last guy to sign on. I fucking sign up, and then I find out on that day that there's not gonna be no TV, no music, and basically all the
No phone,
no phone,
no internet,
no contact with the outside world. Food is very limited, so I actually put in my contract that no matter what punishment happens, I have to have a bowl of white rice every day because it's my thing. I just need white rice, you know. So fucking they put that in my little contract, and then I'm off to this thing. So I spent about, the show lasted 15 weeks. I managed to stay on for 13 weeks. Every Sunday was elimination. And I kept getting progressively better. For those who've seen the show, it's a lot of parkour stuff and then like aiming at the end, you know, which is, I'm a fighter, bro. I don't fucking know about none of that. But I learned on a day-to-day over there, and I outworked everybody because after the set, I'd fucking practice and practice and practice. So I kept getting better. But in that as well, we got to spend a lot of time. So maybe we were on set like 4 hours or maybe the most 6 hours one day, and then the rest of the day we were free. But there was no phones, no TVs, nothing, like I said. So I was literally out in the jungles. And being in the jungle, I got to be a lot with myself. And being with myself, I got to ask myself the hard questions. I got to ask myself all types of things that made me uncomfortable, and I was only able to do that because, like, how did I lose to this guy but beat this guy? What happened that day in practice? Why didn't I do so good that day in practice? Or why did I do so good this day in practice? And then when I fought this guy, I had data for 16 years at the time of being a professional, you know? So I grabbed all that data and I said, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to do this. I changed up a lot of things in my life. A lot of negativity got clipped left and right.
So you just cut that out?
Just cut it out, and I made that decision. I remember it hurting me at that time because I was like, fuck, this is a big part of my lifestyle that I'm used to. And I made that commitment on those jungles, praying to God, being in nature, like, I'm not going to do this anymore if I'm going to do this, you know. I'm going to come up with a winning formula that just works for me to win at the highest level. And then the main thing also to switch was I started thinking like, how you just talked about the owl fight, funny, you know. I thought about fights like that, like, why did I lose? Well, how about if I would have done this or that? Instead of thinking like a fucking king, I was thinking like a peasant of beating him decision. I'm like, how about if I came up with a formula to finish everybody? And that's
a pretty strong thing. Start thinking like a king and not like a peasant, right?
Not like a fucking peasant. Yeah. So, I mean, easier said than done, right? Everybody wants to finish everybody, but you guys know more than anybody. It's a big difference between finishing somebody and taking them to decision or split decision or whatever. So I came up with the formula, and all it was missing after I came up with the formula was commitment, was dedication, was fucking, like, I know I got the best team in the world. I got the best fucking coaches in the world. And God's given me talent to spare. So let's fucking get after it. You know what I'm saying? Let's fucking... Sorry, guys.
All right, so before you respond to that, Richie, I'm going to tell you a true story.
Wait, I'm just glad that we made the cut. We didn't get cut out of his life.
Yeah, right?
But yeah, you
got rid of the negativity in your life, you'd have nothing left.
Wow, strong.
So Georgie gets back.
Mr. Ray of Sunshine over here, but go ahead.
Georgie gets back from this trip, and I'll start by saying how you think you were frustrated with your life. Our side, the whole team was frustrated because everybody knew how good you were.
Yeah.
Everybody from the top levels of the UFC would say this to me. Everybody at our gym who saw you every day, they'd say, God, we know how good this fucking guy is at everything. Even how athletic you are that people can't see ever since Taco Bell went to the 24-hour menu or whatever that was. We'd see you do strength and conditioning. God damn, this guy is just so good at everything. And then you'd beat guys, but then you'd lose the guys you should beat. They were always by like razor-thin split decisions.
At 55, the weight cut was brutal.
The weight cut was brutal. I've seen you in the tub many times.
That was commitment on your end.
Yeah,
with the diet. That was just...
Yeah. No, but even at 55, I wouldn't fuck around my diet once I had a fight sign. Like 8 weeks out, man, I was eating clean every fucking week, but still, it was just...
But as you get older, it's also a little bit more difficult to do, right?
You can't lose that water.
So George gets back from his trip. He's gone for a long time. I almost forgot about him. And he calls me up. He's like, dude, I got to meet with you. Let's go have dinner. I'm like, yeah, okay. I know what it is. He's going to ask for money. What else would it be?
That's awesome.
I get there and we sit down and he looks at me and I'm waiting for him to say, hey man, can you scrape me off this or that? I just need to my next fight. And he says, I just want you to be the first to know. I just got back. I'm looking at him. He's skinny. He's got the fucking hair all over the place. Looks like a caveman. And he says, I just want you to know, I'm going to start baptizing motherfuckers. And I said, well, what does that even mean? You like going on the road doing like a religious gig or something? What does that even mean?
Starting up a church.
I'm taking people to the next realm when they step in there with me. And I just remember looking at him and saying, yeah, can we order our food right now? I had no idea what this guy meant. I was just happy he wasn't hitting me up for cash. I'm thinking,
You got to wait for dessert on that.
what am I even doing here? Well, we'll get some laughs and talk about some old times and eat.
But Dan, how many times have you heard that? Not specifically from George, just from people.
From fighters in general, every time they lose.
Right? It's like, oh, I'm going to do this, this, and this.
But there was something really weird about the look on his face,
Yeah, he was
in his
fucking hungry.
eyes. And I remember his next fight was Till.
Oh, I remember that one.
And Till came out, he landed a big shot. Till hits hard. You got up and you came right back at him. And then when you clipped him and ended that fight, and I looked at him like out, I was like, oh fuck, that's what he meant.
Yeah, that was great.
Rest is history, although it's not history yet because it's still going on.
Oh, yeah, it's still going on. How about you tell them, because as we know, for those that don't know, we have a very good synergy, very close relation, and a very strange one. The night before the Ben Askren fight, Dan Lambert showing me like $180,000 worth of bets. I'm like in 7 of those fucking parlays, and he's taking out the tickets, showing me. He's like, "Yeah, Masvidal, I just got you in this one for like $30,000, but if you hit, I'm gonna make like $130,000." And he's just going off on the fucking parlays.
Live sports betting's great. Isn't it?
Everybody around me is like, why would he put that type of pressure on you? I'm like, it's not pressure, it's what it is. You know?
Just to cut you off there for a second, man, I remember being there for the Askren fight. You were super relaxed. I mean, you were in a different place for sure.
Yeah.
You were.
I mean, usually for fights, I'm pretty relaxed, I think, you know.
But this one, you were like almost, in my mind, like, holy shit, man.
Yeah.
You even like focused in on Ben. I mean, these guys got credentials. I know you don't like him. I know you think he's a goof.
He's a
but the guy's got some serious credentials.
He can make your life hell. If you're not prepared for him, I feel like he could be any fucking striker in the world. He's just a kryptonite to anybody that's a good grappler or a good striker. You know, you have to have certain tools to beat him. You know?
He wasn't 19-0 at the time or whatever he was with world championships in Bellator and ONE FC for nothing. I mean, that wasn't his national championships, his trip to the Olympics.
Kid,
I mean, that shit didn't happen by accident.
He's a mentally strong kid, good competitor, man. Obviously, a great
definitely
competitor.
Not the greatest athlete, but one of the more stronger mental dudes.
Yeah, I respect him.
I mean, just the fight with Robbie Lawler shows you how tough he is.
I respect that guy.
I respect it too, and I like Ben. Ben grabbed me the night before that show, and he says, "Hey Dan, I just want you to know, I'm 19-0. I went and did the research. Like 6 or 7 of them are your guys."
Hey, fuck you, Ben.
and I said, I think you're coming to the end of the road there, buddy. And then I saw Masvidal later that night,
and that road was the train.
I saw Masvidal later that night, and he said, "I just want you to know, I'm going to run at that motherfucker. He is going to bend down to his left like he always does. I'm going to knee him right in his clavicle. If I hit it, I'm going to break it and end the fight. If I miss, I'm going to hit him in his temple and knock him out."
Fucking Babe Ruth calling the shots. I love it. That's awesome. That's awesome. So
what you guys didn't know was the swag leading up to it, because even you guys were a little bit probably, or you guys were, even when you saw me leaning up against the cage, you're like, I know what the fucker's gonna do. You guys didn't even know.
I didn't know if you were bullshitting me, because you do shit just to fuck with people.
Yeah,
dude, I didn't think you were gonna do it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you can have the greatest game plan. I'm going to do this, and then the bell rang. Fuck, the timing wasn't right, and I thought you were going to go lateral on him, actually, and just start to establish a jab a little bit and keep on the outside.
I saw you explode, and I froze for a second, like, oh my God, he's going to... And the next thing I know, I heard it. You could hear the impact in that arena, and I wasn't sitting right next to the cage. You could hear it. It was insane.
I'm not sure why you tried to count him out next to him, but there was a referee there, by the way. I'm not sure why you did that.
Yeah, it was a combination of, like he's a wrestler, so I wanted to like add Kinder.
You don't have to explain yourself to me, buddy. So before all that transpired, before you got in the UFC, you were in, you were
everywhere.
Promotion. Yeah, I mean, you started off in AFC, I think, and progressed your way. And man, I remember you. Whatever promotion you got in, you were always bitching. Fuck this! I want to go to this. I want to go here. Fuck this! I want to go to this next one. Like, you were never happy. And I remember when you finally got to Bellator, and you're like, "Fuck, man, I'm in Bellator." You know, like I finally made that next progression up, and then it's like a fucking nightmare happening. Right? Be careful what you ask for. There's a story here somewhere, isn't there?
Oh, yeah.
I think there's another Bjorn story. I don't want to make that guy a constant repeat performer on this show.
Fucking say that cocksucker's name around me, bro. I fucking.
You got to. Should we drop the story on Bjorn Rebney with
Drop away, Georgie?
On how you got fucking jerked off from this guy?
Well, so initially we signed up, right, and the tournament was $175,000 to win the whole thing, which at the time you guys fucking, I'm
huge.
$175,000. huh? Who do I gotta kill? So fucking, I'm like, yeah, sign me up. The second tournament comes back, and he wants to dramatic, and we haven't fought for like about 9 months either, because he's switching from, at the time he was on ESPN Deportes.
Yes.
So like finding a new home for Bellator, right?
They were out of money after the first season.
Out
He
of
was trying
money.
to raise money is what he was
Out of
trying
100
to do.
million homes, ESPN Deportes.
Yeah, I'm out of money and out of a network. The only one suffering are the fighters. 9 months have gone by. I don't have a fight. I don't have any fucking money coming in. I finally fucking
Should have gone to dinner with Dan that night.
no, but then back then I didn't have enough wins to talk to Dan yet, you know. So fucking I get an offer from a Florida promoter. Hey, you want to fight this dude? I can't pay you a lot, but you know I can give you some money in your pocket, and it was like a decent paycheck. And I'm like, all right. Bjorn finds out, calls me, goes, hey, you know I have you under contract. What you're doing is illegal, but guess what? I'm gonna give you $10,000 to sit out, and I already talked to the people in the commission at Florida. There's the fight's off. Anyways, if you know you want to take it, it's here for you. I was like, well, $10,000 to sit, and I can't fight anyways. It's a no-brainer, right? So I stopped training for the fight like 2 weeks before. Obviously, I'm back to my shitty ways of eating. Back then, it was like really bad ways of eating, you know. And I'm way overweight. I was fighting that Thursday or that Wednesday. That Sunday, which I never would have done, I'm with Mike Brown in New York at a Champion. You guys remember Champion Nutrition?
Yeah, of course. I do.
That's for the old timers right there.
Yeah.
So I'm with Champion Nutrition in fucking New York doing the signing.
And
3 days before my fight, like I don't do things like that. It's fight week. I'm just gonna concentrate on fighting. I could
dude, you didn't even train. I remember.
But it's not fight week.
Yeah.
I mean, your fight's off.
Yeah, so I fucking
And you fought at 55 back then, just to put it in
55.
perspective, you know.
So I get back to Florida, and I get a commission call like the day before the weigh-ins. The commissioners call me. One of them goes, hey man, I talked to Bjorn Rebney, and he informed me that you weren't gonna fight. I just want to let you know, in the state of Florida, there's a non-compete agreement. Like that doesn't matter. You sign the bout agreement, you have to follow through on it. I'm like, there's no way, bro. There's no way. I fucking hang up the phone call. I'm calling Bjorn Rebney. Guess what? I'm getting fucking voicemails and secretaries only. I'm like, this motherfucking piece of crap. There's no way. Call back the commission and telling me, if you don't fight, you're suspended indefinitely. I get on the scale, I got about like 18 fucking pounds to go. I'm like, this is gonna be fucking fun. You know, I think I cut off those 18 that I cut. I think I took off 14. I couldn't do the last 4, and this is on paper the only time that I've missed weight ever in my whole fucking career was that time. Every other time than that, I've always made weight on the money. So only time that I missed weight, and yeah, fucking it wasn't my best performance, you know.
Yeah, no, I remember it.
Yeah, so I was like, fuck Bjorn Rebney, you know, and I still am to this. I mean, that's a guy that obviously there's like lawsuits and things like that, but if I could fucking slap him across the face as hard as I could produce a slap, he would get it, you know. Like, if I saw him in a third world country where I wouldn't be able to get in trouble, I could just pay my way out of anything, I would fucking beat the shit out of him, bro.
I get along with just about every promoter we've dealt with over the years, and you know, there's some that are better than others, but he's the one guy that I talk so poorly about to this day, and that
mine's
that was the end of my rope with him.
And mine, that was just one of many, because I know other fighters that he fucking dicked over on money.
I did too, and I called him right after that happened. And you called me and told me the whole story. After your fight, I called him up and told him that, you know, here's the deal. If I ever see you again at a show, you won't be seeing me at your shows. I won't be coming. But if I ever see you, dude, turn the other way, because we're going to have a real problem. And I really disliked the guy because of that. Actually got a call back like 3 years later. They were down at Hollywood Hard Rock doing a show, and his right-hand guy called me, and I could tell he was on speaker, and I knew Bjorn was there listening. He said, hey, man, I just thought it's time to bury the hatchet. You know, you guys got so many guys, fighters. You got guys on our show. We're right down the street. You're not coming to the show. Got a couple front row seats. Why don't you come bury the hatchet with Bjorn? And I knew Bjorn was listening. I said, that's a great idea. Sounds good. You bring Bjorn, I'll bring the fucking hatchet. I'm going to bury it right between his and click. That was it. The last time I probably was ever in the same conversation.
And what a phony piece of shit, right? His whole mantra was, hey, I'm all about the fighters. It's all about the fighters. And usually guys who are the loudest with that are so full of shit, man. And he's fucked over quite a few guys in New York. Not only our guys on our team, but plenty of guys out there that have their own stories about him.
I got a fight offer in Japan during the whole thing. I'm signed with Bellator, but now I know, like, fuck this guy, I don't care. So Japan comes with like a good deal for me at the time. You actually helped me get that deal, if you recall, remember?
Not
with
really.
Motoko? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, with Motoko. Yeah.
Motoko. You know, so that deal comes up, and I fucking tell Bellator, go fuck yourself, I'm fighting. And Bjorn tells me, if you fight, I will sue you.
Should have just sent him a dick pic like
He would've
Monson.
He straight up told me, if you fight, I will fucking sue you. And I said, I'm broke, so you're not going to get shit off me, but this fucking hands. And I wanted to do the fight, and thank goodness I won that one and stuff, you know.
All right, let's move away.
Let's get out of there.
Fuck me, George.
Georgie, tell me your best training story. You got a good training story for us?
Different phases in my life.
Sure.
Different ones, you know. But you guys know I used to be like a little wild, you know. Sometimes,
A lot wild.
yeah, a lot wild, you know. So I don't know if I've ever shared this one in there, but it's just you guys listening, right? So it's
Pretty
like,
much.
all right.
Us two and his kids, I think, are the only ones that listen to our
I
podcast.
don't want them hearing all this stuff. But I used to, you know, not that I was a big party, but when it was like hunting season, meaning like chasing women, you know, I could get lost in there, you know. So, I mean, fucking, and then I also had the discipline to still go to the training. So I remember I used to party till like 4 or 5 in the morning. Then I'd just park my car at the gym and sleep, because if I noticed something, if you don't sleep too comfortable, it's easier to wake up and then do whatever you got to do. So I'd sleep in the car because I was like dead tired, sleep like 4 or 5 hours.
And that was your house.
That was my house too for a while. Go to practice and do fucking really well. So this is something that actually led to the revelations I had later in life, because sometimes, a lot of times, even having done that, partied all night, chasing women all night, doing whatever the fuck, I would still beat everybody in the room.
Do you ever think maybe that was just because you were good and not because you were sleeping in your car? And maybe you would have done even better had you not gone out that night and slept
No,
in
if he
your
would have
bed?
thought that, he would have did that.
But at the time, I was such a peasant that I was thinking, man, I'm the best guy in the room. These coaches don't know. You don't need 10 hours of sleep. What are you talking about? What do you mean women are bad for you? I'm beating up everybody in here. Because I was the best guy in the room doesn't mean that was the best version of me. And that's something that I came to, that firm commitment out in the jungles. I know, crazy, right? Like fucking 33, I learned the most basic of shit, but whatever. It definitely helped, you know. And then I not that I, you know, don't chase women anymore, but
You don't have to. I think they're chasing you now.
they chase that blue check mark, yeah.
Right.
That's
Maybe it's the outfits.
think that was a joke, Dan?
Just throwing it out there. I got a question for you, George.
Have to pay Dan to put a tracksuit on.
Wow.
You need a bigger. We're gonna need a bigger boat. We're gonna need a bigger tracksuit.
You need a bigger track.
I got a question for you. And, you know, we see things from, you know, the operational side of the gym and not necessarily from the fighter side of the gym all the time. But it's special to us when, you know, guys go through the journey and get to a certain level. I mean, I don't have to tell you what you've done and what that meant to us. But you take a guy like a Thiago Alves and Yaroslav Amosov, who coincidentally both their pictures went up. We got a wall of champions here. When somebody wins a major title, we put it up on the wall. And it always seems like it means a lot to the guy to get up there next to the, you know, the great company of who's up there. And I'm not going to ask you what it meant to you to get up there, but what is it like to, from a fighter standpoint, when you see somebody else that you're with along the journey go up there?
I mean, with Pitt, it touches a special place, right? Because we've been teammates, friends for 14 years, 15 years, and I've seen Pitt at his highest and at his lowest, him wrestling in a wrestling practice, and fucking, I don't remember if they were going for a suplex on him or he went for the suplex and he fucking tears his pec. Fucking insane injury, you know, to come back from full into fighting. I've seen him blow out his ACL. Like, I've seen Pitt at his lowest with the injuries, with not being able to get fights because he's injured, this and that. And just to see him get the belt now at BKFC, which is like, fuck, it's bare knuckle, bro. That shit hurts, bro. Did you see?
Yes, it does.
He was the winner. Did you see his face? Like, bro, it's not an easy way to fucking.
And he wouldn't have it any other way, would he?
He wouldn't have it any fucking other way. He's a fucking dog, bro. And I'm happy to see him, bro. The success, and I just hope it keeps fucking rolling, man. Especially Pitbull, because, fuck, we've been grinding for a while, beating the shit out of each other for years. So I'm just happy to see that guy go out on top, man.
So it's funny, right? So people see Pitbull now, right? He's got the belt, pretty, whatever. You got the tracksuit. You're looking like a stud. You're making money. But rewind to where you started, right?
Oh.
You legit slept in cars. You legit had zero fucking money.
Yeah.
You legit fought for bullshit money to get going. Pitbull's 19 years old. You know, his fast track was a little bit better than yours to get into the UFC, but his career gets derailed by a ton of injuries along the way. You get the fight for the title, you lose it. There's so many ups and downs. It's not a gravy train. It's not where you're at now. It's where you were and where you're at now. That's pretty fucking cool. That's the journey. We're lucky to see it, right? Pitbull, 19 years old, you come into our gym, your career didn't take off yet.
I just turned 22 when I got to American Top.
That to me is cool. To see you finish off your career, not that you're finished, but to see where you're at in your career now towards the latter stages is just from where you're.
And it adds so much to our gym for the younger guys to see the success of other guys and see what they're putting in at the gym and what the path they're taking to learn from that. And, when a guy gets his picture on the wall, when a guy comes back from a big win, even the buzz in the gym when there's a big fight, which, knock on wood, we have a lot of them. It's just the excitement level at the gym for somebody going into a big fight the whole week, the week before that, leading up to the training camp. It like brings the level of everybody up.
It's a synergy, man.
So,
I hate to use that word so much, but man, it's like monkey see, monkey do, right? Like, after a 2-hour wrestling practice with Mako, I see these guys climbing the rope. I guess it must work. Now, guess what? Motherfuckers are climbing that rope more than ever. They're doing the sprints after practice. It's just like...
Yeah, like Yaroslav gets his picture up there. He becomes the Bellator welterweight champ, right? He's a stud here in the room. You don't think a Johnny Emblem's looking at him. You don't think an Austin is looking at him. You don't think a Dalton. You don't think all those guys
looking at him and training with him.
Yeah, and are thinking, man, that's the fucking prize. Not that he's the prize, but where they're trying to get to, their level. Same thing with UFC guys. It doesn't matter. DP, monster camp, monster fight, tremendous buzz in the gym. He wins. Man, it's huge. Amanda right behind it. Huge fight coming up. Pedro Munoz. Shout out to my man Pedro. Love that guy. Huge fight. Man, it brings everybody up, and everybody wants to rise to that level. So, like you were saying, the energy in the room is great.
And it's great for the young fighters to have role models. I mean, you watch Kyoji Horiguchi, and you see his approach to everything from training to fighting to life. I mean, you talk about a true samurai. That kid is a fucking samurai. And you point out to these younger guys, hey, you want to get where he goes? Look what he does.
I think our pound for pound best guy, maybe. Kyoji. I've said it for a while.
Not maybe. It is. And it's funny. So the kid, Sergey Morozov, who came here from Kazakhstan, right? So he had a dominant wrestling performance. And I didn't get to see that here from him. And maybe he's just a primetime player. But you go through our list, who is he really going to put that game on here? You're not doing it to Kyoji. You're not doing it to Adriano Moraes. You're not doing it to Pedro Munoz. You're not doing it to a Danny Sabatello. You're not doing it to a Sal. You're not doing it to, so many guys. So when he did it there, it was like, oh, shit, man. Sergey put that.
It shows the level. And I think that's why.
And I left some guys out, which,
we attract, like, you are what you attract. I think a lot of times, like, a lot of the guys that come here have the same mentality, like, I'm either gonna win or die trying, and we see it. And that, I think,
Tony Gravely too, another guy.
Well, I mean, just you mentioned you mentioned the depth of those training partners, and then you take somebody in that weight class and you have them get ready for a particular opponent, and it's like, well, we got the perfect guy to mimic him for you. You get a lot of styles between camps, and you're getting better at dealing with all styles. But then when you're in camp for one specific fight, we'll give you a guy who is exactly like that guy, or even better at what that guy does.
One guy or like 5 guys, you know?
It's those looks are invaluable.
You need one of those weird lanky southpaws that's 6'4" fighting at 155. We got him. You need a fucking short leg lock specialist fucking at 135. We got it. It's like fucking man.
Hani Yaya too, right?
I mean, speaking of Hani, he's fighting Kong in a few weeks. We got him with Danny Sabatello. Same size, same type of fighter, but better.
Yeah.
At what he does. And Ronnie's going to be going to hell fighting that type of game when he gets in a cage, and it's a different scenario when you're in a cage and it's for real and anything can happen. But he's going to feel less of what he felt this whole training camp because we had the exact perfect guy to mimic what that guy's going to try to do.
I had the conversation with Tony Gravely. I saw him the other day, and I was talking about that. And Tony's like, man, when I go in the cage, I've already sparred with everybody who's better than me, so I'm not really worried about my opponent. Worried about him, but I've already know I've hit a really high level of guys. I'm really well prepared for it. So
it's such a fucking interesting dynamic because you go to other gyms that are like, okay, they have a couple guys in the UFC, and like the best guy that they have there is the best guy, period, and he's the guy that's getting ready for the fight, and everybody else is like levels beneath him. You come here, and that's why I think a lot of guys also like, we're kind of like a Navy SEAL program because not everybody that comes wants to stay in this bitch.
Yeah, Georgie, not everybody likes. Some people like to be the big fish in that small pond.
Not like love.
So they come here.
And some athletes do better like that.
So you're right. So some guys come here because they've heard about us, or their managers got some guys here, and man, go to ATT, check it out, and they do, and that's why we say, hey, check us out for a week. Let's see if it's a good fit for us, and vice versa. Maybe it's not a good fit for you, and you could see, man, for some reason, this isn't the place for them. And then other guys, they're getting run the fuck over, and they come out like, holy shit, man, I can't wait to come back tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, Mike Brown brought something up about this. We were talking about this one day, and he said something I hadn't thought about, and it makes a lot of sense. Brownie's a pretty cerebral guy when it comes to this business.
Yes. Marty.
Maria.
The Cuban, Maria.
Yeah. He sounded like a
Maria, por favor.
sounded like a real gringo. What do you want, Georgie?
Uno más, please. Gracias.
So Brownie brings up, and we're talking about all the training partners and all what it brings to the table. And Brownie says, you know, from a coaching perspective, it's kind of like a dream scenario for me. He says, because I see these guys come from all over the world, and they're all bringing little things that they know that I haven't seen before. And his ego is so low that he's willing to learn from anybody. If that guy does something good, he's not only going to learn it, he's going to grab you.
He's going to
and say,
copyright
hey,
it and fucking
come
make
and
it his
look
own
what
way.
this guy's doing. So the knowledge level is just going up across the board. You can't tell me that there's nothing that you can't learn from a Gamrot that he's bringing over here that he does that we haven't seen before. And this game is evolving so quickly right now. And it's like having all these people here just, man,
Mike is
such
like,
an advantage.
Such a fucking.
Talk about Brownie, man. I know you.
I could go hours about talking for Brownie. And
I will cut it short. This isn't the fucking reality show.
Teammates, competitors,
Yeah.
right? You know, we're both competing, chasing after the gold. Mike Brown fucking knocks out the biggest name in fucking WC.
Uriah?
And the Conor McGregor of fucking 145 back then. Uriah Faber beats him fucking twice.
Good comparison.
Shocks the fucking world. No, he was. Uriah Faber.
You're right.
Rocks.
I remember, bro.
You guys remember at the fucking heart who Mike Brown was just supposed to be another side attraction. Come to Florida, go beat this guy Mike Brown and keep the ball rolling.
Reed Harris mistake.
Shout out to Reed Harris.
Yeah, I know you like him. That's why I took his name for you.
But wow, right? And then after that, when he was gonna go into coaching, I remember like when he was about to retire already, and you asked me, go, what do you think about Brown being a full-time coach? And I remember telling you what I said then. I was like, he's gonna take the gym to another level, you know. And part of my answer was no ego. Even as a competitor, if I would catch him in something, this is how I knew he'd just transfer to a good coach. If I had a good day with him, it wasn't like, oh, fuck you. It was like, bro, what did you do? How did you do that? Learn it. I'd teach him, and guess what? This motherfucker would drill it on his own. Maybe he didn't get to hit it in a fight, but man, you better believe in practice, he was doing it every fucking day. So I knew that mentality going into as a coach, especially with everything that he already had done in his own self. I knew that he would take us right to where we're at.
And when we see guys like that in our gym that we believe are going to become good coaches down the road, we try to get them part-time in the coaching while they still got a couple years left of fighting, so they get a head start. They travel, they start working, they start seeing how some of the other coaches handle. Let me tell you what I think one of Brownie's best attributes is, and I think it's important for coaches in general. I would rather have a coach who achieved great success as a fighter, but success that was probably above their pay grade and their skill level.
For sure.
Because those guys are doing it. You get a guy that just comes so easy
Brown wasn't
for
the best athlete.
Dude, if Mike Brown came to the UFC right now, given his skill set, is he going to be a top 5 guy? He's just not going to be, in my opinion. He wasn't a good enough athlete. Even back then, he wasn't as good of an athlete as some of these other guys, but he worked so hard, he trained so hard, he was so smart and intellectual about his approach to everything he did. He became the #1 fighter in the world in his weight class. And you see a guy that can do it, you're like, man, they can pass that on to other guys. And he's a fight nerd. Mike is an MMA dork. If he won the lottery tomorrow, the Powerball for $1 billion, he might ask for a week off. Probably not. But he'd be here. He's not. I even said to him, hey, if you left...
This is his wet dream. It's every day he's like, he's drinking his coffee. He's like, I can't believe this is my fucking job.
Dude, Brownie goes around still getting autographs from guys in his book. Like, oh my God,
he does.
Can I get your autograph? I mean, he's such a little geek. But,
remember when Arlovsky was a dick to him when he asked for his autograph, and now he's his coach?
Yeah, that's awesome.
I asked him one time, I said, Brownie, you hit the Powerball. You're going to come back and coach? He said, what else am I going to do? Of course I'm going to come back and coach. Maybe I'm
going to coach harder.
He said, he says this. He says, maybe I wouldn't work with as many guys as I do now. I said, okay, who would you get rid of? It's like, nobody.
Yeah.
It's just what he does.
And how about the work drive that he has? Because he'll get in there with me 2 hours, an hour and a half, whatever we're scheduled, and he'll literally, no, let's do it like this. So maybe.
But there's a reason why he does that, man. He really wants to stay current and feel you and what you got and what you don't have and
adjustments.
Man, he's great at that.
And he said it's a bonus because he gets to stay in shape at the same time.
And then to get.
I actually ride him a little bit. I say, Brownie, you're going too fucking hard in this shit. You're going to get to a point where you get hurt. You're getting older. You're going to get hurt. You're not going to be able to do some of the things you do.
Fucking quad.
Yes, he did. I'm like, back it off a few notches. Still get in there and get your feel, but use some other guys too, man, because you're getting older. Shit don't work that way.
And then just to get back to what you said before about you'd rather have a guy who had good success in whatever organization, but you exceeded it a little bit. It's like Michael Jordan, right? The guy, greatest basketball player of all time. You put him as a GM, and you expect everybody to be like you and come so easy. It doesn't happen like that. So I agree 100%. And taking guys from our gym, the next guy is Pitbull, right? So we took him in, still at the tail end of his career, little bit of a part-time coaching, working with guys one-on-one a little bit, DP, some other guys, Jocko, and he's doing a great job.
Another guy that's going to take us to another stratosphere because no ego.
I had the same conversation with DP a couple weeks before his fight that I had with you. How many years ago that was about Mike Brown? I said, hey, we brought Pitbull on. He's coaching part-time. He's traveling a little bit. He's still fighting. What do you think he's going to look like as a coach 5 years from now? And DP's like, man, this guy's already a great fucking coach, and he's going to get better and better.
That's one thing about coaching. You can't have like an ego,
And George,
usually that comes from like the guys that competed, not all competitors, but the guys that competed at a high level and they can transfer that knowledge. If you competed already at a high level, you don't have that ego. Like, no, what I know is the best. You know that I don't know everything, but I'll find the guy that knows everything in that area and I'll bring him to the table and yada, yada, yada. Pit's like that. Mike's like that. Like, they know that not one person knows everything or one person that's perfect, And
that's why it's got to fit in. Hey, what's our winning sauce? I don't know what it is, to be honest with you. It's just probably a conglomeration of different things. But one thing is, no fucking egos among our coaches. We don't let that happen, I know Dan's pretty good about stamping that out. But we get a lot of coaches or a lot of fighters that, hey, man, I want to help. I want to coach back. And we kind of like roll our eyes a little bit to ourselves like, yeah, we'll let you know. We'll get back to you on that one. We just know you're not going to fit in with what we do.
I mean, the two of you got so much fun. Do you remember the old coaches meetings, fighter meetings and stuff? And then, Masvidal, put your hand down. I got a serious question, guys. Come on.
Hey, what's funny? You say, what secret sauce?
I remember.
Secret sauce, we've been around so long, we've made more mistakes than everybody. Yeah. We have more fighters than just about any other team. Yeah. We've been around longer than just about any other team. When you combine the two, we've had many more opportunities to make mistakes, and we've made those mistakes, and we've learned from them, and we've made good decisions, and we've learned from them. A lot of these newer teams, they're making mistakes now that we made 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and it's given us a little bit of an advantage. They're going to learn it. If they stick around long enough and they have enough fighters, they're going to learn everything that we've learned, and they may even have a quicker learning curve than we had.
Right.
But they're never going to catch up because we've been doing it that much longer, and by the time they catch up to where we were then, we're years ahead now and made more mistakes than that they're going to now make. So it's an advantage in a weird way.
The direction our team has gone in from where we were back when you were there is just night and day. It's just a lot more organized, a lot more structured. The coaches are more in tune with the fighters and what we need to do to keep that level pretty high.
Boy, and also, don't forget, now we got this fucker full-time as well.
Well, nobody
I don't know if that's a plus or a minus, to be honest with you.
A little bit of both. Nobody knew what the fuck they were doing back then because the sport was so new.
Yeah.
There was no book you could read. Hey, how am I going to run an MMA team?
Dude,
run 5 miles a day and lift a lot of weights. You'll be set on
Hey, it was the fucking Wild West.
Oh,
I got to drop it. I'm not going to drop anybody's name, but I remember being here one time and one of the guys brought in a fucking sword. Another guy brought in like the crossbow, and I'm sitting here thinking, what the fuck is going on in this gym right now?
Some Mortal Kombat shit going on?
Dude, they were like, oh, I'm just training with this guy. And I'm like, hey, man, get this shit out of the gym.
Remember we had a guy that would mix the proteins from GMC and like, this is the recovery drink. He'd put like 4 proteins in one and give it out to the guys. And so it was like the mad scientist.
Yes.
We've had some, MMA attracts some interesting characters to say the least.
Yeah.
You know why? Because it's funny, we've talked about this in the past, because it's the easiest sport to get into, right? Everybody thinks they're a fucking pro fighter because, oh, bro, I got some power. I knocked some guy on the street. You can't walk onto
Last weekend I was at the bar, right? This guy stepped on my shoe. I had the fucking, you know what I'm saying? I still got it.
Much worse 10, 15 years ago than it is now. Now a lot of people realize what's up. Back then it was like every tough guy in the world that want to fight in 5th grade is coming in to be a fighter.
But you can't walk onto the New York Yankees practice field and say, man, I can hit a baseball. But you can walk into an MMA facility and say, hey, man, I'm fucking good at this. And they probably got some classes for you or whatever. It just seems like the sport attracts that element, which is so weird to me. But they don't realize, man, this is a professional sport. You got to start at a certain level and then work your way up. Get some representation, go fight.
Not just that.
Put your time in.
Do you have the endurance to train 5 hours a day?
Yeah. So
5 days a week minimum.
Mental.
I get it.
Mental and physical. Do you have enough endurance to like, man, I fucking kicked this guy in the elbow. My fucking foot's like that, but I got fucking a weight cut still in like 3 weeks. I got to go run these miles. These 3 miles. A lot of guys don't have that.
You mentioned the Yankees. At one point in time, we said, you know what? We're a real fucking team, and this is a real fucking sport. Let's start treating it like that. Let's get some structure. Let's get some organization.
I remember when you said that, because you never really said
accountability.
that before. And when you said it, and I was like, fuck yeah. And at that point, just inside, I was like, you know, and I guess what you said, and I hate to give you any credit at all, but, you know, when he started coming here full time, it definitely made a difference in the place, because it was a lot easier for me to get with you when you weren't so busy and just really talk about some of the issues here. It's one thing to talk about them. It's another thing for you to be here and actually see them. So
You got to run this like a real team. Guys show up with the wrong size gloves for training without a mouthpiece.
Hit the road.
Get out of here.
I did that a few weeks ago. You got to call people out. Get off the fucking mat. You know?
Show up to practice for the Yankees without your glove? Get out of here.
Yeah. Remember, we won't mention names, with certain characters in sparring, they'll show up with the 10-ounce gloves, the 8-ounce gloves. What do you mean it's 16, bro?
that was subtle. Yeah, that's crazy. Hey, so I get asked a lot, you know, from young guys coming up to these Instagram lives. Hey man, like what's your advice for me? Blah blah blah. Rather than hear from me, George, you got something. So you got a young up and comer or a guy who's just starting out and he wants to be an MMA fighter. My first thing is, hey, go train and make sure you're like getting hit in the face. But what is your advice for somebody just coming up in the sport and they're already an MMA guy? You know, what do you think?
Fighting, grappling, combat sports in general, to me, it's like flying in a way, right? And to fly at that level, it just takes a lot of endurance, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of discipline. You got to make sure, like, not even whether you're good or bad, but are you going to put in those hours to get, are you going to run the sprints at night when everybody's fucking sleeping because you have a weight cut or your gas ain't shit, so you got to do it? Are you fucking not going to go and chase women? Are you going to fucking eat clean? Are you, like, all these things that it takes to be a fighter, if you really want to do it, you got to check yourself before you fucking even waste your own time, you know, because it's not for everybody, man. I mean, I got some close friends that tried fighting, gave it their all for 6-7 years, and then, like, man, it didn't pan out because.
And it doesn't mean you're a bad guy. It doesn't mean you're any less. It doesn't mean you're any less of a man.
No, it does
you
not.
know, I mean, fuck, man. There's
great human beings. I know a lot of good dudes that just fighting didn't turn out, but fighting is fighting, man. It doesn't give a fuck about what degree you have, how athletic you are. Fighting is like, it's fighting.
It's not an easy way to make a living.
no shit. I mean, we see a lot of BJJ guys or wrestlers. They come in here. I want to fight. Man, you're on the bottom. You're getting punched in the face. That's fucking not an easy way to draw a paycheck.
Or they've
man.
always been the hammer, and then they get that one day they get tired, and then you got a real hammer in front of you, and it's like, oh shit.
The guy's dipping out of practice. You grab him. Where you going, bro? We got like another half hour to go. We see it. We see it here.
Or trying to get there late.
Yeah, skip a little bit at the beginning, or you'll see it on a sparring day or a heavy wrestling day. Hey, bro, where the fuck you? Yeah. I see it with professionals now. For me, it's very disrespectful to the team and to our coach. So you said to some guys, it's like, hey, you better have a valid excuse of why you're getting off this mat. Finish the fucking practice and then go home. You know, don't cut it short. Because really, what you did is, it's not so much you. You fucked over your training partner. Now this guy is sitting around cold. Man, I got fucked out of rounds. I don't get my rounds in because you left. You know, now I got to put you with 3 other guys, and man, don't be
hurt or whatever.
Don't be that guy, man. Stick out the training. You go there, finish it off.
One thing I can say about my gym that I'm very proud of, and I mean my gym, is that if you build it, they'll come. And I feel like we attract a lot of the same people. I attract a lot of people that are like me, like they're gonna gamble, they're gonna fucking give it their all when they fight, and so on and so on. You know, Amanda attracts a lot of athletes like that, women athletes like that. They just want to get after, you know. So I think like the advertising that we don't do, we do with the fighters. You know, we don't have to ever spend. We've never given out a signing bonus. We've never any of that crazy shit's never happened in this gym. Everybody that comes here is on their own fucking accord, and it's because the fighters, the coaches attract that same energy. You know.
I remember a fighter. That's funny that you said that. And we were going on our big wrestling campaign to get wrestlers in here, and I'm going to leave his name out, but I remember reaching out to him, or he reached out to me, and based on us saying, hey, we were trying to get some wrestlers in here and go in a different direction when we talked about it. And I told him what we do. I said, man, I'm going to put you in a place, and training's for free. Obviously, we'll charge a percentage when you do fight, but we'll develop you and blah, 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 blah. And you can go do seminars or whatever you do to make your money as a wrestler. And he was like, can you get on I don't know, at the time, it wasn't Zoom, it was like a Facebook. I said, for what? You know, like I told you what I'm doing. Well, we got a signing what you're going to give me. And I said, does this motherfucker think this is the NFL or some shit, or we're going to pay him X amount of money to come here? And I said, hey, bro, maybe you didn't hear me. I don't need to get on a Zoom call or whatever it was at the day. I'm going to put you up in the apartment. We're going to help you out. We're going to give you the best training in the world. That's it, my brother.
Take it or leave it.
We're going to give you the seats to to plant for a career, and if you want to take it, great, and if you don't, man, it was nice talking with you, and that was it. He came down, he didn't pan out, but it's kind of funny.
How many guys have we had come and didn't pan out, you know? Great accolades and fucking world champion jiu-jitsu this, wrestling stud that, kickboxing this, and they come here a month later, like, you know what, guys, this MMA stuff is maybe not for me.
Let me take it a step farther. You take how many guys come through your gym just to get to somebody who becomes a fighter that wins fights, and then how many of those you have to go through to a guy who wins enough fights to get to a UFC level, and then as many of those as it takes to be successful in the UFC, and then as many of them as it takes successful to be like in a title contention, and then how many of them it takes to actually win a title. That math,
it's 1% of the 1%ers.
Mind blowing.
Right? You know, so you and the Amandas of the world, who's a GOAT in her own little category, and guys like that, even back in the day, Andre Arlovsky or JDS or any of those guys, man, you know, guys not on our team, Jose Aldo's of the world,
wow.
You know, those guys are just...
you can catch lightning in a bottle, and the right guy can come into your gym, and he may have made it regardless of the gym that he ended up in. You know, maybe one gym might get a little quicker than another, but, you know, you get a certain type of talent, generational type talent.
Yeah, okay. Weight classes maybe it's not that stacked. You got a great athlete there.
Yeah, but you do it on a repetitive basis, and I don't care who you are, it is going to take you a lot of bodies to get to that point.
A lot of
and
bodies,
some luck.
a lot of data, a lot of fucking, like you said, mistakes, a lot of fucking learning from those mistakes.
And a lot of hard work by coaches and training partners.
Amen, man. I mean, we saw some adjustments this weekend in the corner directly because of the corner, right? We were just talking about it before the shirts, before the show started.
Yeah, man.
And that's what the corner, you know, giving the right shit in the earpiece. Hey, do this, do that. Let's get in.
But Georgie, a lot of it's the work prior to getting there, right?
Yeah.
A lot of it's that 6 to 8 week work that you put in, that honest work prior, not bullshitting yourself, that you actually worked and didn't take time off. And then you get there, and like you are, man, you're super confident. Why? Because you put the work in already, right? You believed in your coach, you believed in the training, you believed in your training partners and all the guys around you, and you're like, fuck, man, this is going to be fun. I'm going to fuck somebody up.
You mentioned Zay Kamea. I grabbed him in Padumpa the other day. Zay Kamea's back in the gym, and I said, hey, what happened between the first and second round? Just curious. I want to know what happened. Zay Kamea said, man, Padumpa got in front of me. He said, you had a rough round. You took a beating. Let me tell you what, there's two choices. You go at him hard and see if you can break that guy, or you back up and you're going to get the exact same thing that happened in the first round. And he said, I said, fuck it, I'm going to go forward. And he said, I went forward, I hit him, I could see he was getting tired, I saw I broke him, and I finished him.
It's great.
And I think, you know, I mean, obviously every gym will want to claim this stuff, but I think this gym attracts more people like that than anybody. More guys that are willing to go out in their shield or go, okay, maybe I'll lose, maybe I'll win, but I'm going to give everything I have and go for broke.
I hope that's true, but what I know is true is that when the wrong fit comes to our gym, they don't last, because either they leave,
no, the guys
or
that end
we
up
get
saying,
rid of them.
The guys that end up saying we're not all the same, but it's very much like the same mentality. Like I'm either gonna win or I'm gonna die trying. You know.
It's rare to see the guy now walk in. I mean, first off, everybody has an ego. I don't care who you are. You have to have a little bit of an ego, right?
Especially to be somebody in this sport that gets in that cage and fights.
But you got to fit into our, I don't know, band of misfits or whatever they are out there, our band of warriors. So you better have that ego, but it better be in check with your, because
there's enforcers also.
Man, because there's a lot of alphas, and there's a lot of alphas. There's a lot of alphas that are here, like you say, to regulate shit and keep shit.
Oh yeah.
But for the most part, man, people are super fucking cool in here. You know, like,
I mean, I think you have to, because you know you're from whatever the fuck.
Yeah. You're gonna get. Listen,
country, you come here and you've always been the big fish in the pond, and all of a sudden you look up, you got Gamera, you got Thiago Moises and Dustin Poirier.
Dude, you got Albert Tumanov. You know, people don't even know who Albert is. This guy's a fucking killer. You got Alexander Shabili, right? A couple Russian killers, right?
But you take away the organization and the structure that we have, and those alphas start killing each other.
The house falls down,
and it's a disaster. And we've been there. We've been there. That's one of the mistakes.
It was actually pretty fucking fun.
I mean,
that's why you guys let it go on, right?
Dude, I've seen it. We're going to go into those in future podcasts, but I have seen some of the absolute best fights I've ever fucking seen.
In the gym.
Right here. The best sparring sessions.
How about the old gym, though?
Wait, should we just develop a Hector Lombard segment?
Oh, man.
Because we got some good ones.
Listen to me. Be careful what you say about my man, Hector.
No, Hector's my boy, too.
Shout out to Hector.
Hector, I'll say this. Of all athletes that I met, maybe has the most bodies in training. Like
the most kill count, you mean?
Yeah, the most like knocked people dead in practice.
Yes.
Hector.
KD.
Yeah.
But
Not
and you laugh at it, you make light of it, but
Yeah, it's not
you
the
know,
coolest
got
thing
hurt.
in the gym. Yeah.
big part of that was our fault.
Yeah. No,
You
it wasn't
know?
our fault. It was your fault.
Okay, big part of it was my fault, and I'm the one who had to eventually get in there and fix the problem.
Yeah.
But you know what? You learn as you go,
8 years
and you
later,
make those
but yeah,
mistakes, and that's why you get to be better and better and better. And a lot of gyms make their mistakes and they fall apart because of them. We've just been fortunate enough to survive
Yeah.
all of our mistakes.
And just for the record,
learn
and just
from
to
Middle of my career, you know.
Wait, and just to be clear, and just for the record, I like Hector, you like Hector, and I know you like Hector. So, I mean, he's a super cool dude.
I love Hector. I text Hector all the
Yeah.
time. He's my buddy.
You see Hector in person, man. Hector.
But you mentioned the mistakes. That's another great thing that having a coaching staff like we have. You mentioned Pitbull going into the coaching side. How many mistakes did Pitbull make? I asked him the other day, I said, could you imagine going back and taking your knowledge now at 34 and putting it into an 18-year-old Pitbull?
Wow.
He said, man, I would have fucking killed people.
Yeah.
You know, I'd have been champion forever. I said, great. Now you're going to take advantage of those mistakes and that knowledge, and you're going to instill that in those younger 18-year-olds that we have at the gym now so they don't make at least some of them.
And the funny thing is to see Pitbull now as a coach, and we were talking off to the side again, try to keep some stuff out of this conversation, but Pitbull's like, man, I can't believe this goes on. I'm like, dude, you did the same thing fucking 10 years ago, but now it bothers you as a coach. So now you know what's on this side of the plate, that you guys are so fucking selfish sometimes, but it just doesn't work for everybody, you know, and it's got to work not only for yourself as a fighter, but the rest of your teammates too. And he's like, man, yeah, you're right. I see that now, and I didn't see it then. And it's just a maturity level and coming onto this side a little bit that
Just
helps
thinking
him
about
out.
Pitbull, the coach, and Pitbull, the guy I used to have to fucking spar with like once a week. There was a time where I just dreaded going with this guy. I was like, "Fuck, hey, Masvidal, he needs a guy very similar look to you." I'm
Long
like, there
reach.
goes my fucking legs, bro. Fuck me, man. I used to hate going with Pitt at times, bro. Fuck, man. And to see,
Hey, so-
when he puts that mouthpiece
Yeah.
on, hell of a competitor. And as a coach, no ego, humble as fuck, giving out all his wisdom. Fucking, he's gonna take us to another
He's going to be a
stratosphere, bro.
stud here coaching for a long time
Him
to
and Brown
come.
are gonna take us to fucking another stratosphere, bro.
So speaking of that, toughest training partner you've ever had?
I've had numerous ones
Yeah.
in different stages in my
Right.
life in different categories. You
Sure.
know, like as you guys know, I used to do a lot of the boxing down in Miami.
Yep.
So I remember
Yeah, throw the guy.
being like 19, 20 years old, going with Cuban medalists, amateur world champions that became professional champions and just like fucking played with me, beat my ass. Then eventually I made my way to American Top Team when American Top Team was housing like 20 black belts from Brazil when black belts
Yeah.
were scarce. 2 of them were like world champions, and getting on the mat and just getting the fucking piss beat out of me and tapped like 5 times in 5
Were you
minutes.
here? You were here when Marcelo Garcia was here, right?
Of course, bro. I was here that whole time.
Yeah.
And those are the moments that made or break me, because I would get so beat up in practice. It made me think, well, I don't know shit about jiu-jitsu. My whole life, the fuck have I learned? Nothing, bro. And those are the moments that made me, because guess what? I just stuck to it. I got better. I figured out what they were doing. I figured out how to counter that. So,
That's what
man,
makes a guy, man. You know, like you were a good striker. You're always a good striker. You always had a ton of potential. We've already talked about that. But man, you're one of the few strikers that I've seen that actually embraced the wrestling side of stuff and the jiu-jitsu side of stuff. Like, you know, most people, I got to work on my weakness. Man, you immersed yourself in that weakness. You know, your fucking wrestling is underrated. You
Yeah.
know, your takedown defense became very underrated. You know, so that kind of impressed me.
Took a
at
while.
certain
Took a lot of these guys slamming me on my head and fucking.
Yeah, but most
going
guys
to D1.
don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah. No,
you know, but
most people don't want to fucking do it. You know,
It's hard work. It's like
But
legit.
I always knew since the first day, especially coming here when I fucking made the switch from Miami to here, I would be going with guys that had no business ever standing with me, and they wouldn't. They'd get to my fucking leg and make life hell. And I was like, if I can't learn this grappling shit, none of this matters.
Yeah.
None of it matters.
And they didn't have the bare knuckle boxing where you could say, "Fuck it, I'll just do this" and go
Yeah.
into that back then. Except if you're doing it in your backyard or something, dumbass.
I know we can talk shit with George all day.
Yeah.
I know Pedro Munoz is waiting on us
Oh,
to help
shit.
with Aldo, which is
Okay.
another benefit of having a nice gym, having
All right.
guys like this be a training partner
Yep.
for you. And
Let's go.
you know, props to guys like you who come back after fights, and you know, you got other things going on in your life, but they're always coming back to help the next guy out, which is a great thing. You got a couple more things
Yep.
for him. Why don't you wrap that up? We'll let him go train with Pedro, and then we'll get into the betting segment that we're going to
Perfect.
close up.
Okay, so I had a bunch more questions, but I forgot you were here to help
Pop
Pedro.
off.
So I've got a little
Let
rapid
go.
fire that I want to do. 5
Let's go.
questions for you, 5 guys. You just
Make it 10 questions. Let's go. Pop off.
I can't count that high. Kimbo Slice.
Fucking stud.
Leave it.
Humble.
Leave it at that.
Le-
Fidel.
legend. Not
Coward
Fidel.
piece of shit.
Hunter Campbell from the UFC.
Everybody talks about Dana, but Hunter does a lot of stuff over in the UFC.
Yeah.
Georgie, what's your take on him?
I have a very good relationship with Hunter. We actually talk a lot. He's my guy that we talk to for the fights. Hey, how about this? How about that? So I would say great businessman, and not a bad dude. But he's actually in this business, as you guys know, there's not too many like, stand-up individuals. He's a pretty stand-up dude.
Dude, he is.
That says a lot.
He's a sharp guy.
Sharp as a tack.
And he's actually relatively young for considering his position in the business.
But he's been groomed for, like, if you know his story, he's been groomed for that position his whole fucking life.
And he is sharp as fuck.
Danny, maybe one day we get him on the show if he's ever down here.
Yeah, man, he'd be
I'll
great.
force him to do the I'll twist his damn arm.
Next one, Diaz brothers. I'll put them both in there. It's a 2-for-1 for you.
Line him up.
Okay, and the last one I got for you, Jake Paul.
He's going to get KO'd by my boy Woodley.
All right. I think that's all I got. Danny, you got any final things for Georgie?
No, man, I just appreciate you coming here and appreciate you more coming to help Pedro Munoz get ready for the Aldo fight. It's a big fight for that guy.
Guys, thank you for making me your first guest ever, man.
Fucking A, man. You're going to come back on again. We'll get you. Dude, I got a ton more stuff for you.
And
Don't forget.
Amanda had a fight lined up, so she was busy for the next couple of weeks. So
Makes sense.
Yeah, right? Want to shout out your
speaks for itself.
recuerdo,
Make sure you get some, man. This is good shit.
mezcal.
No fucking way, bro.
So we're going to start a tradition here.
Let's
It's going to
go.
be every
Whoa.
guy is going to sign this bad boy.
But this is an old tradition for us, but
well, the old tradition was the blood.
Yeah, it was all the
Oh,
blood.
that's
flag.
the-
Do you
So let
remember
me
that?
drop this on here. Put your John Hancock on here.
don't I just wish that we were still bringing that flag everywhere?
That shit had staff and fucking everything else. on it.
MRSA,
Jesus.
E. coli.
Yeah.
Some of it was probably Georgie's from the women hunting days.
The original one got stolen?
Oh, really?
The luggage.
Hopefully they got staff then.
Hey, whoever has that fucking flag, sell it back to me.
Hell yeah.
Even my signature's gotten better over the years, huh?
I know. You can do scripture.
Definitely got more practice these days.
So we're going to get everybody to sign this. You're the first guy to crack it off. You're usually the first
fucking
guest.
go, bro.
All right, man.
Let's go, guys. This wall looks a little plain.
Yeah, you're going to drop some
we're gonna
stuff
fill
off
it up.
us, right?
I got some stuff for you guys, bro. This
Awesome.
looks a little
We're going to
plain.
get some gloves signed, some shirts. Put some real gear up there.
Guys, the coffee was amazing. I wish you would have had this for me after practice.
It'll be here
Let's
after
go.
practice.
Yeah,
After your
leave it
practice,
right there.
we're gonna leave
Cold
it
or
here.
hot, I will fuck all that up.
As long as
Yeah.
Pedro says you give him a good look, we'll open it up for you.
Sure, yes, sir.
My brother, thank you. Always a pleasure. Great to see you, man. Great to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Just want to get the whole outfit on camera.
Yeah. Let's get a picture over here anyway. Can we grab a quick pic?
Ladies, I'm single as fuck. And the credit score's through the roof these days.
Oh, that's a big
What's
deal.
up?
That's a big deal. George, let's
What's
get a
up?
picture in here real quick. With the man. Let's go, Fives. You got too many buttons on that fucking thing.
Go.
All right, get the fuck out of here.
Good work.
Love you guys, bro.
Thanks,
The
George.
man.